I think after, over 20 years in this business that I still grapple with is, it's the balance, right? Because we do this work because we really care and we want to give it our all because it's so important. And I know I'm personally really feeling the urgency this year. And at the same time, it's making sure we're there and we get to be around our people who need us and we need them.
Hey everyone, it's Monique Alcala, longtime campaigner, big fan of democracy, and your host for My First Race, the show where we talk with the country's top politicos about their very first campaign. Hey everyone, we've got a great episode today on My First Race. Thank you so much for joining us. We have a really exciting guest with us today. We have Sarah Curmi, the executive director from Sister District, a national organization that's doing some really incredible work all across the country. But before I get to that, I wanted to tell you all a little bit of a story that happened, I think, probably 2 or 3 weeks into the time that I actually worked with Curmi, as we call her, over at Emily's List. And I don't know if you recall Curmi, but I think it had to have been like 3 or 4 weeks at my time at Emily's List, and we did like my very first trip call with LaFonza, and she had these very detailed questions asking me about like the races in Texas, and I just went into a panic. And I think it was traumatizing for not just myself, but some of my colleagues, because like my colleague on the finance team called, I know you called, and there was somebody else that called, and they were like, wow. And honestly, like lesson learned, I should have, dug into a little bit more into some of the stuff here in my home state, but definitely one of the more memorable moments for me. But, very specifically, I do recall you calling me afterward and, just like, not necessarily like, are you okay, but just like checking on me because that was like such a memorable moment in my first couple of weeks at Emily's List, where I legitimately thought I was going to get canned like very soon.
Of course not. Of course not. We were so happy to have you on the team, and you were such a strong proponent for Texas and all of your states in the Southwest, and you were such a joy to work with.
Thank you so much. Well, again, we have with us Sarah Curmi, who is the executive director at Sister District, and I'm so excited to have you. I worked with Curmi at Emily's List for about 2 years, and I had one of the most amazing experiences, probably in my entire career. So I'm so thrilled that you're able to join us today. So,
Thank you for having me.
yeah. So the way that we like to start off these podcasts is we like to hear a little bit about you and what landed you in this industry.
Yes, absolutely. So I have been in this industry probably longer than I care to say. I don't want to, give away my age here, but I started very young. I actually grew up in a political family. My grandfather was on the Detroit City Council. I'm a Michigander, if you can't tell by my accent, as people tell me I have, but I refuse to believe it. My grandfather was on the Detroit City Council for much of my mom's growing up and a good portion of mine. And so I grew up hearing and having conversations about political issues at the dinner table and around my family. And my grandfather would often send me articles. This is before the internet, so he would send me snail
Mhm.
mail articles with little post-its attached, saying of possible interest. And really, we just had a real value of service in my family. My mom was also a teacher, and she was very, very involved in her union. She was vice president of her union for a good portion of time. And so I grew up also because I was a mama's girl, just really tagging along with her to board meetings and to school bond meetings and millages, and really started volunteering at a very early age around those issues. And also, because unfortunately we are home to the DeVosses, also volunteered on issues like anti-voucher, school voucher campaigns as well. In through high school. And so it actually turned out that when I was a high school senior, I decided I wanted to throw my hat in the ring for school board and ran for school board myself. And much to everyone's surprise, and including probably a little bit of my own, I actually won and served on my school board, my hometown school board, while I went to the University of Michigan.
Oh, that's
Um,
amazing.
Yes, yeah. So, that was a real look at, the power of state and local government,
Mm.
which was my first lesson in that, and has become really the cornerstone of my career. I ended up, while at U of M, meeting my former boss, who I'll talk a little bit more about later, who was then the executive director of the Michigan affiliate of NARAL, and I went on to intern for them and become a staffer, and really just loved my time as an organizer there. At that time, we organized around all sorts of, obviously, reproductive rights legislation, but then also, getting people to Washington D.C. for the a women's march, and those sorts of issues. And then I also had an opportunity while at my time at U of M to intern in the Michigan House. And so again, I really saw how much state legislatures impact our day-to-day life. And that set me off on the path that I'm been on throughout my career. Since then, I worked in the Michigan House and Michigan Senate on the official side, and was caucus director for the Michigan Senate before I went on to spend 9 years in Emily's List before my time here at Sister District.
Nice. Well, as an 18-year-old, like, was there anything in particular that made you decide to run for office? Like, I can't even imagine.
That's a great question. I think, very passionate, about, the work, as I mentioned. By that time, I really had, been doing a lot of volunteering around, our millages and our bond issues, and had just come off of being, a lead volunteer around the anti-voucher campaign,
Mm.
and felt like I had a really unique perspective as a student who was graduating and then going on to college that I could bring to the school board, and decided to run. And it, it was one of those situations, I think, where I ran kind of in a partnership with another candidate. There were two seats coming
Mm.
up for election, two incumbents were up, and um, we felt like they were vulnerable and not representing all of our interests, and so we decided to run. And I think they didn't really take an 18-year-old seriously,
Mm.
but I think the message of, I just came from, came out of the district and I have something to offer, really ended up resonating with a lot of folks. And I ended up it was obviously a low turnout election, but I was the top vote getter. So it was a huge, like I said, lesson in service and in the work that our state and local electeds do. I think, you know, some of these local offices, the local office holders, they are extremely close to the people and do a tremendous amount of work and really important work, and don't get the accolades for what they're doing.
Yeah, one of my favorite statistics that I like to cite is about trust in government and how, basically nobody trusts anybody at the federal level, even though they get all the attention. But whenever you get lower down to the state level, but particularly at the local level, that's whenever trust in government like really skyrockets. And like it's just so important, like the work that you're doing at Sister District to elect more people that where they start to believe in and trust these institutions. So
Absolutely.
So for the people that don't know, although I've been aware of Sister District since I was in Virginia in 2017. They did some really incredible work to help us win a bunch of seats. I think in that year, and so I'm familiar with Sister District. But could you tell our listeners like, a little bit about Sister District and what you have been focusing on since you've been there?
I'd love to. Sister District is truly an incredible organization. I also got to work with them when I was at Emily's List, and was so honored when they offered me the opportunity to come over and work with the team. It's an amazing team of folks, and we're really the only grassroots political organization focused exclusively on building progressive power at the state legislative level. That is where we put our focus is on state legislatures, and we do that by mobilizing an extremely robust volunteer network. It's one of the largest and most powerful volunteer networks I've ever seen at a national level. And those volunteers support or endorse candidates by raising money and making phone calls for them. And then we also support them through our amazing political team who advise our candidates on their campaigns. And if I could just brag a little bit on our volunteers, they're really the heart of what we do and what make our organization so special and so unique. But this year alone, our volunteer teams raised 790,000 directly for
Oh
candidates.
my
Um,
God, that's
yes,
awesome.
yes. Um, they held over 500 events for candidates. We had more than 19,000 new volunteers, and they also made 1.4 million voters were contacted through phone calls, postcards, and doors. So these volunteers, they are sophisticated. They are doing the work that wins these elections at the field margins, which Monique, you and I know sometimes it comes down to that. Sometimes the majority, like in Pennsylvania, can in 2018 can come down to 60 some votes in one race.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Another Shelley,
and
Shelley Simmons. Yeah, that's
Yes, Shelley Simons. Oh my gosh, the examples abound.
fun.
Exactly. And Sister District was in that race and played a really pivotal role in that one as well.
Yeah.
Um, and this work is not always glamorous, but they are out there doing this really hard work to uplift these state legislative candidates and put them in these seats. And because of that work, Sister District won every single one of our races this past year in 2025. Of course, helping to secure the Democratic trifecta in Virginia, which obviously is huge. Virginia is the only Southern state without an abortion ban, and that's because of that work at the state legislative level.
Yeah,
And
crushed it
we
there.
also, yeah, we were really excited because we were able to scale our work this year to play in a special election in Iowa, where we helped Caitlin Dray win her
Oh,
race and break the
mhm.
Republican supermajority there. As well as play in 3 races in Mississippi, where we broke the Republican supermajority in that state Senate as well, and also win a couple specials in Minnesota to hold the line in the state Senate there. So, um, so we had a really incredible year and are excited to continue to scale and grow that work this year as well.
Oh, I love that. Man, that's amazing. Yeah, like again, like I loved Sister District when they were doing a bunch of work in Virginia when I was there. And I just think that the very deliberate or the intentional work around developing a volunteer community is so important because we see all the time that volunteers always outperform, paid. Not that, paid is less important or anything. We definitely need it to scale, but volunteers are so important in the political space and into many elections. So
Absolutely.
great work. Um, so you have worked a lot on state and local races, and I love talking to people who are fangirling state and local, just like me, because you know as well as I do that these are such small teams. They're often under resourced. They, I just always felt like our team at Emily's, our state and local team, was always working all the time and like really hard. And not that you were like forcing us to, we just like really enjoyed our team and our work. And but it's just we never get the amount of attention that federal and statewide races do. Do you have any candidates that either at your time at Sister District or from your time before that where you're like, oh, everybody really needs to know about this person?
Well, as you know, Monique, I could spend 3 hours more than that talking about our incredible candidates because
Yeah.
we have so many, so many. And
Yeah.
as you note, I mean, they are so amazing, and we just want them to get all of the accolades and all of the flowers for the work that they do and the way that they step up.
Yeah.
So there are many folks I could say. I'll highlight a couple just for brevity's sake, but one person who comes to mind is Virginia delegate, new Virginia delegate Leslie Mehta. She just flipped a seat to build the Democratic majority in the Virginia House, and she has an incredibly powerful story. She's a former legal director for the ACLU of Virginia, so
Mm,
she has spent her career fighting for civil rights and constitutional protections. And she's also a mom, and her oldest daughter sadly passed away from a rare disease at just 5 years old.
mhm.
And since then, she has really turned that horrible experience into action as an advocate fighting for better healthcare policies and expanding support for all families. So I'm really excited to see what she does next in the House of Delegates. And then I would also highlight Wisconsin State Representative Robin Vining. She flipped her seat to serve in the state house, and she's now running for state senate in a top targeted seat. She's a small business owner and a mom, and she has had the experience of losing her health insurance while she was pregnant. And so she knows what it's like to have to parent through significant economic challenges. And she's been just a tremendous leader in the House. And so we're really excited to be supporting her in her effort to win that Senate seat to flip that chamber.
Mhm. That's great, and I bet you a lot of these people, like, this is their first race?
Yes, yeah. So, well, obviously for Robin, she's an incumbent, so she's running for the Senate now. Leslie had run before,
Mhm,
but we're excited that now she will be in the House of Delegates and taking her leadership there. But we have so many candidates, to your point, who are new and running for state legislature, and that I think is another reason why organizations like Sister District are so important, because we do put them out there through our volunteer network to get that support, get those small dollar donations, get that field support. And then also, like I said, our political team does that advising on their campaigns, um, which, as you know, Monique, you've done it,
mhm.
is so critical. So, folks who haven't had an opportunity to run before, we know they're great leaders. They are leaders in their communities, but they just need that support as they go through a campaign for the first time, because it is it can be a totally new experience to learn about how to poll and how to tell your personal story, and all these different pieces that our political team walks folks through, and make sure that they're putting their best foot forward.
Yeah, there's nothing better than and I can only speak to, like, the South side, but, there's nothing, better than feeling as though there's somebody alongside you, like, making all of the mistakes and doing all of the right things throughout your either your first or your second time running.
Yeah, absolutely.
So on this podcast, I know you talked about your first race whenever you ran when you were 18. But what about your very first race, either as a paid or volunteer on a campaign?
Yes, thank you. I'm glad I'm cheating a little bit because I'm getting 2 first races in, but I appreciate it. I thank you because, I would love to also highlight, a race where it was really my first time managing from start to finish, in, a state legislative race. In 2006. My former boss, as I mentioned her earlier. She was the executive director of the Michigan affiliate of NARA when I first met her, and then she decided to run for state house here in Michigan. Her name is Rebecca Warren, and she was running in an Ann Arbor seat. So it was a primary election in a really blue area, but it was a pretty intense primary. As you know, primaries can get just as intense as generals sometimes. And it was really, I think, notable in a few different ways. Like I said, one, it was my first time getting to build out a plan and a team. Um, but one of the things that I always highlight, particularly as I'm talking to folks who are just starting out in their career, is not surprisingly, I was one of the only paid staffers on the campaign. And so I really had, I mean, we had some interns and whatnot knocking doors for us, but was really, as the manager, kind of wearing many different hats, and it was really an opportunity for me to get experience in a lot of different ways, as you only can as a state legislative um, on the state legislative race. So it was really an opportunity for me to um, cut turf and be the field director and do the targeting, and also to write the press releases, and also to write the political plan, and uh, talk to volunteers and talk to partners. And what I always highlight to prospective staffers is this is a great opportunity for you to manage a race at the state legislative level, and from there you can see if there's an area that you really like. If you want to from there go into comms or go into field, that's an opportunity. But you get to be a Jack or Jill of all trades, and from there also can obviously continue to manage. Um, Another thing that was really special about this race is she ended up winning her primary, and then from there we went on to help others who are running in tougher general elections. And ultimately that year we got a majority in the Michigan House.
Hmm.
At that time, Governor Granholm was governor. We did not have the Michigan Senate. The Republicans still held control of the Michigan Senate, but now we had control of the Michigan House. And with that leverage, I ended up going with my boss to go work in Lansing from there, and spent some time on the official side as a legislative staffer, which again really drove home for me how important state legislatures are, what an impact they have on everything from funding our local communities to our schools to our civil rights and liberties. And it was because of that split government and because we had that chamber that we were able to get some things done that we wouldn't otherwise have been able to get done. My boss ended up chairing the Great Lakes and Environmental Committee, which is obviously really critical here in Michigan, is home to the Great Lakes. And she um, ended up being able to negotiate with her partner in the Senate, a bipartisan passage of the Great Lakes Compact, for example. So um, that race has been really pivotal in my career in so many ways, and again really demonstrates why the work we do is so important at the state legislative level.
Is the Michigan, like the state ledge people, do they, you meant, because you very briefly talked about how the candidate what was her name? Sorry.
Rebecca Warren, yeah.
Lauren, how she helped other people.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
I feel like um, I I have worked in different legislative. New Mexico is a really good example of it too. Like they all help each other. Is it still really collaborative, and everybody's like sort of mission driven to win more seats there?
Yeah, I think for sure, folks are very focused. Unfortunately, we lost the trifecta last cycle. We had it for a brief period, and that was extremely exciting. And this cycle, I have no doubt that there's going to be and there already is an extremely concentrated effort um, statewide around making sure that we're supporting those seats that we need to win in order to get that trifecta back.
Yeah, I think that that's probably one of the most important qualities that I guess I take for granted as I've worked across in these different states is that you have to be uh, collaborative, you have to be thinking about how you can build collective power, and so it's really great to hear that that exists in Michigan because I've worked in a couple of states where that just definitely does not exist.
Yes, yeah, I think we are very lucky here in Michigan to have amazing infrastructure thanks to so many in-state partners on the ground.
Mhm.
Um, Many of whom Sister District works with, and we're really thankful to do that. And folks recognize how important having this state level um, chambers is,
Yeah.
in addition to the federal work.
Yeah, and, I think it goes to just, like, somebody's, uh, level of leadership too. It just speaks to, like, how they think about, elections and winning and what it takes to win, and, go like, I like I was mentioning earlier, I absolutely loved working in your department at Emma's the state and local department. And, my experience there was just that everybody was so collaborative. They were all mutually supportive, similar to, the things that we need in order to win our seats. And so, my other question to you would be like, what do you think is the most important factor for developing that type of team?
Well, first of all, thank you for that because that is really meaningful to hear. And I really enjoyed working with you and our team as well. I think for me, I mean, there's a lot you can say, I think, to this question, but I think a really important factor is mutual respect and trust as professionals. As you noted, we were all driving towards the same goals, and I think we're really lucky to have a team of amazing experience, and I think it's important to recognize that we all have different experiences and perspectives to bring to the table, and hopefully we are always learning and growing because I know I am too.
Mhm. Well, one of the things that I don't know if it was this year or last year because time doesn't matter anymore. It's all it's all combined. I remember our friend Mari Manouchian. She had posted on her Instagram like her ins and out list, and so I actually did one this year as sort of like a personal intellectual exercise. So, and I thought it was like I thought it was kind of silly at first, or I felt silly doing it, but man, it was kind of cathartic to sit there and like reflect upon the things that I really want to focus on, whether they're physical or in the sports that participating in, or just sort of like mental or professional. Actually, I think like the very first thing bullet point that I had on my ends was picking the people and organizations that I work with, because I think it's honestly very helpful to my mental health at my age. Um,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
and then, like, some of the other things I had on there were, um, you know, really scaling up on my boxing because I don't think I was boxing, just yet again at Emily's list, but, I got back into it. I've been running again, and, I started bouldering this past year, and, there right now, I'm like, I don't know, I did like a V2, V3 as they call it, and I really wanna get up to, like, V4, V5, and because I feel like it'll, just be something to brag about because it really
Yeah.
and I think I was telling Liz Robertson, who we both used to work with too,
Yep.
and she was on the Fed and Gov side, that I needed to do something a little bit more low impact, so I think I'm looking at Pilates.
Yes, yes.
Do
Love
you
Pilates, yeah.
do you have
I
anything that you have on, like, your ins and out, outlets for this year?
Yes, I've got some here. So I think for sure for us, caring about state legislatures, they are going
Oh,
to be
love
the path.
it.
They are going to be the path to power here.
Yeah.
And then of course, joyful grassroots volunteering,
Mhm,
authentic candidates, and again, going back to the states, fighting for progress, not just harm reduction.
mhm.
And I would also throw in there for my 5-year-old daughter, K-pop demon hunters are a big
Oh,
in over here.
yeah, I love it. Oh my gosh. I love the Christmas card you send every year.
Thank
It's so
you.
cute.
Thank you. Yes. It was a task this year. As you know, I just had my second baby recently.
Mhm,
So it was both a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun to dress the girls up as samers, as Mia says, my 5-year-old, but also can be it's a little bit of extra work as well.
yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh, mine is about to graduate college. It's crazy.
I know. I like it's wild to me that I remember your daughter going off to college. So
Mhm.
that's congrats to you and to her.
Yeah, well, thanks to Emily's list, I was able to come back to Texas and, like, spend every day with her instead of just, splitting my time between Texas and Virginia. Because she didn't I don't know if I told y'all, she was with me for, like, several years when we first moved to Virginia, and then once she joined the band in Texas, it was like, Friday Night Lights, playing in the band and all of her friends and stuff, and she didn't wanna come, so when she was, I guess, like, in 8th grade and going into high school, she was just we were splitting our time, or she was splitting our time, but, um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's I think another big in for me that I mean, I think after, over 20 years in this business that I still grapple with is, it's the balance, right? Because we do this work
Mhm.
because we really care and we want to give it our all because it's so important. And I know I'm personally really feeling the urgency this year.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it's making sure we're there and we get to be around our people who need us and we need them.
Are you doing anything in particular to help you balance out that stuff, or are you listening to any podcasts?
Great question. I know if anyone has tips for me, feel free to give them my email address.
Okay, I
I
have
think
one
it's
I have one for you. Listen
okay.
to Good Hang with Amy Poehler if you don't already.
Okay.
Oh my god, it is so funny. I listen to it on my run, on my like, when I run now, and the other day, I was like, this busy street. You've been to Texas, haven't or have you been to Texas?
I have not gotten to come to Texas yet. I have to figure that out. Uh,
Well, the main street that goes right up to the Capitol, it's called South Congress, and so it's very busy, right? Like, there's just people and, like, different shops or whatever on that, and, I live near the Capitol, and so I was running up South Congress, and, there was I was listening to Amy Poehler and, God, who was she talking to? I'm forgetting right now, but they were talking about, um uh, they were talking about women using public restrooms, and I won't spoil it or anything, but I kid you not, I had to stop and laugh like, literally just stopped in the middle of the street and started laughing because it was so hilarious. So, highly
well,
recommend.
that's what we need right now. We need a lot of that too.
Yeah.
We need laughter. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, anything else that you're doing to balance out your professional and mental health?
I think the definitely, escaping when I can to binge watching, shows that, as much as we love K-pop demon hunters, that are not necessarily always K-pop demon hunters. And, I similarly, love to work out as well. I'm still getting back to it, post baby, but I do love to lift weights and, have that kind of time to, recalibrate.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely so important, especially with all of the work that we have ahead of us in 2026.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, fantastic. Thank you again for joining us on my first race. It was so wonderful to see you and just and catch up.
Thank
Um,
you so much for having me and for your work to uplift the state and local races. It's so critical. I know you feel the same.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And so to everybody listening, make sure that you follow us on social, subscribe to wherever you find your favorite podcast, and be sure to give us 5 stars. And Kirby, can you tell us where to find Sister District?
Yes, you can find us on our website, sisterdistrict.com. And you can also find us on Twitter, Insta, and Facebook and LinkedIn.
Great. Well, awesome. And I would highly encourage anybody to make a contribution to support the incredible work that District is doing in these really important and critical races around the country. So thank you so much again, Kermie, for joining us. It was absolutely wonderful to have you.
Thank you so much.